Revealed, the incredible reason Noah cursed his son. Unexpected truth from the tent. God's plan. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the earth began to flourish once more, the verdant hillsides of Ararat awakening from an abyss of desolation. Noah, the righteous man, emerged from the remnants of the ark, his heart brimming with gratitude for the covenant that God had made, a promise to never again drown the earth in punishment. The sun shone brightly upon him, illuminating the glistening waters that had receded, a perpetual reminder of mercy amidst judgment. Fueled by faith and purpose, Noah resolved to cultivate the earth anew, planting a vineyard on the gentle slopes of the mountain, where life could once more break forth in abundance. As time passed, Noah busied himself, nurturing the tender vines that twisted toward the heavens, basking in the warmth of divine favor. The fruits of his labor flourished, and with the day's sweet labor behind him, he tasted the wine and nectar born from the bounty of his vineyard. Each sip transported him to a realm of warmth and bliss, momentarily erasing the cares of a world once steeped in chaos. The sun descended, casting shadows in the dimly lit tent, and amidst the whisper of evening winds, Noah succumbed to a peaceful slumber, rendered vulnerable by the intoxicating sweetness that brought solitude from his toil. Meanwhile, Ham, the youngest son, returned from a day spent tending the livestock, his heart swelling with admiration for his burgeoning independence. As he passed by his father's tent, a sight arrested his stride. Noah, exposed and laid bare, nestled in the folds of his overwhelming warmth. Rather than honoring his father's dignity, Ham felt a vile thrill surge within him as laughter escaped his lips, tainted with mockery. "Come! See our father's shame!" he shouted, beckoning to his brothers, Shem and Japheth, whose expressions darkened in disbelief at his irreverent call. Shem and Japheth exchanged swift glances, laden with the weight of their father's honor. They could not bear to witness his humiliation. Grasping a garment, they set their hearts upon reverence, walking backward into the tent with their eyes averted. With gentle hands, they draped the cloth over Noah, shielding him from the harshness of Ham's gaze while Ham loitered outside, an insidious laugh echoing through the tent, the sound of a brother betraying familial trust. At last, when Noah stirred from his drunken sleep, a veil of confusion shrouded his mind. Sensing the weight of dishonor, he rose, a storm of emotions brewing within. "What has been done?" he murmured, dread crawling down his spine as he questioned the shadows that lingered. Upon learning of Ham's actions, profound sorrow pierced Noah's heart as he realized the fracture that had formed in their bond. With fervent righteousness, he uttered a curse not upon Ham's own head, but upon Canaan, Ham's son, declaring, "Cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall he be to his brethren." The weight of his words reverberated through the tent, binding generations to the curse, entwining their fate with divine judgment and the sacred bonds of family. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As evening shadows deepened, the tent became a sacred space highlighting the complexities of mankind's flaws. The echoes of Ham's mockery lingering, he ushered in a legacy of strife and servitude that would ripple throughout the lineage of the chosen people. Within this moment, questions emerged as the weight of Noah's proclamation hung heavy, a tale of the frailty of man and the unfurling tapestry of God's redemptive plan woven through the generations yet unseen. The mystery lingered as night enveloped the world anew, setting the stage for reflections on hope, faith, and the precious wisdom that would come from this moment of deep disobedience. What lessons awaited among those blessed to dwell in covenant? How would hope linger amidst the shards of their fractured familial ties? The answers beckoned, shimmering just beyond the veil of divine mystery. As dawn broke upon the world, light streamed through the folds of Noah's tent, illuminating the stillness of the morning. In the coolness of the air, a shattering reality weighed heavily upon the hearts of Shem and Japheth. They gathered, speaking in hurried whispers, their minds racing with the implications of their father's curse. What future lies before us? Shem questioned, the gravity of their lineage evident in his furrowed brow. From within the depths of his soul, Japheth's voice emerged firm yet uncertain. We must stand united, brothers. Our lineage shall be blessed under the covenant of our father, yet we must avoid the path that Ham has paved. They understood the prophetic nature of Noah's words, foreboding shadows across the generations yet to come. Meanwhile, Ham, agitated by the curse laid upon his son, wrestled with the gnawing beast of unrepentant shame and anger. He sought retribution against his father's proclamation, yet in the quietude of the morning, a deeper voice stirred within him, urging him to remember the promise God made to Noah, a promise of mercy and new beginnings. Noah, stirred from the remnants of his slumber, emerged, and as he stepped into the light, the weariness of spirit reflected in his eyes. His heart grieved for the division which had sown itself into the very fabric of their family. "O my sons," he uttered, his voice wavering, "the earth has been cleansed, yet we now face a different kind of flood, one of discord and strife. Let not our hearts be hardened." As they gathered around their father, a palpable tension hung in the air. Shem and Japheth showed forth their respect, though Ham's spirit remained untamed, wrestling with perceptions of disgrace. "Father," he decried, "is Canaan to bear the weight of our family's shame? Shall you not reconsider your words?" Noah's countenance shifted, a spark of divine wisdom illuminating his expression. The curse reveals not only the actions of the past but the doings of tomorrow. It serves as both warning and a guide to all who may tread in the path of folly. Almost instinctively, the air around them tinged with a sacred reverence as Noah paused, seeking clarity from above. The Lord's hand upon us is not simply to bear repercussions, but to reveal his eternal purpose, the intention of redemption woven within every trial we face. Such words ignited the hearts of his sons, awakening the desire for restoration hidden amidst despair. With renewed vigor, Shem proposed, "Let us build a life that honors this covenant, that through our deeds, we may show the love of God and uphold the legacy." Determined, the three brothers nodded in affirmation, challenging each other to rise above the shadows of their family's past and venture forth as vessels for God's enduring grace. Their hearts began to unify under the weight of their father's insight, recognizing that their actions in the face of the curse could either build or break the future of their lineage. Time meticulously unfolded, the sons laboring in the fields and dedicating themselves to the cultivation of life. The once tenuous bonds began to mend, yet the specter of Canaan loomed as an unyielding reminder of the curse. The earth rejoiced under the steadfast hands of Shem and Japheth, flourishing and bearing gifts, while Ham wrestled with the duality of weight, a son laden with both condemnation and the potential for redemption. As days flowed into weeks, a fateful moment drew near. A traveler from the east arrived, bearing news of a distant people who had strayed from the path of righteousness. Omens marked the land where sin flourished, indicating a reckoning awaited them, yet within the very fabric of this dark tale, whispers of hope emerged. For even amid chaos, the Almighty's purpose remains unshaken, the traveler proclaimed. In the tribulations of man, His grace can still usher forth a greater plan. Thus, they found themselves standing at the precipice, witnessing the gravity of destiny intertwine the hearts of men, the promise of Genesis looming ever so near. What would unfold next as the threads of their lives spun together into the grand tapestry of divine purpose? The sovereign hand of God was poised to reveal something far greater than they anticipated. As the sun began its ascent on the horizon again, a stillness settled over the land, breaking only by the sounds of nature stirring to life. Refreshed by their newfound resolve, Shem, Japheth, and Ham resumed their labors, the weight of expectation and destiny pressing upon each of their shoulders. Yet, in the heart of Ham, rebellion brewed as he retreated further into the shadows. The words of their father echoed in his mind, weaving through his thoughts day and night, yet the tempests of pride and ambition clouded his judgment. "Why must Canaan inherit my father's curse?" he whispered to himself, bitterness budding into an unyielding root. In contrast, Shem, with a heart rejuvenated by his father's wisdom, proposed gathering the family for a moment of prayer and reflection. "Let us seek the Lord together," he suggested, "that we might find a way forward, united in purpose and spirit." This notion stirred a longing for divine communion within Japheth, who readily agreed. As twilight embraced the land, the sons assembled near the altar they had constructed, a simple mound of stones representing their commitment to honor God amidst adversity. The stars twinkled like the eyes of the Almighty, gazing down upon them as the brothers knelt in reverence. "O Lord of creation," Shem began, his voice trembling with awareness, "we beseech you for guidance as we navigate through the ripples of our family's past. Show us the way to heal the wounds of discord and to nurture the vine of blessing promised to us." In that sacred moment, a wind stirred, caressing the brothers with its gentle embrace, as if the Spirit of God was drawing near. Japheth felt an inexplicable urgency within his spirit. Perhaps, Father Noah is not the only one who carries a message of divine intent, he mused aloud. Could it be that we have a part to play in this greater narrative, beyond what we presently understand? Just then, Ham, standing at a distance, absorbed the moment with conflicted eyes. Jealousy and sorrow wrestled within him. Why do they seek unity when our father has declared me cursed? He questioned the essence of brotherhood. Shall I remain an outcast, a son shrouded in ignominy, forever at the mercy of divine judgment? As the brothers continued to pray, a rumbling resonated in the depths of the earth, causing them to look at one another, bewildered. The air thickened, charged with an ineffable presence. And from within the core of creation, a voice thundered deep and resonant, yet full of compassion. "Ham, do not despise your inheritance, for even from the dust rises grace." Fear and awe gripped the hearts of Shem and Japheth, while Ham trembled at the weight of the divine declaration. "You are not lost, nor forgotten. In the shadow of your burden lies the seed of redemption, awaiting the whisper of faith to bring it forth." Captivated by the proclamation, the brothers fell silent, pondering the profound implications of the Lord's words. Ham's heart quaked with realization, perhaps vengeance was unnecessary, a seed of hope had been planted. As the reverberations of God's voice faded into the night, Shem seized the moment, "Let us extend our hearts to one another. For even in the depths of our struggles, we are tasked to be vessels of His mercy." A flicker of understanding ignited in Ham. Could it be that despite the curse, a miracle was still required to fulfill their father's prophecy? Could Canaan still hold the power of restoration? Thus, the plot of their divine narration thickened. Amidst the complexities of family strife, a greater truth was unfolding. For within the trials lay a call to unity, a beckoning toward reconciliation, and the promise of an unbroken thread woven through generations yet to come. The divine tapestry, now closer to revelation, was hidden under layers of human frailty. As the stars twinkled above, illuminating their path, the brothers recognized they stood not only at the cusp of their legacy but at the precipice of God's sovereign intentions. What might the coming days bring as they chose to embrace the trials ahead as pathways to inheritance and redemption? And so it was that dawn broke upon the land, the rays of the sun filtering through the trees like fingers of gold, heralding a new day for the sons of Noah. With hearts tender from the night's revelations, Shem, Japheth, and Ham rose to fulfill their tasks, yet they bore upon them the weight of an unspoken promise. As Shem carved the wood for future constructions, his mind echoed the divine words, contemplating the intricate tapestry of their lineage. He whispered a prayer, "O Lord, let our work bear fruit, not just for ourselves, but for those who will come after us." Japheth, observing the quiet turmoil within his brother Ham, paused in his labors. "Brother," he ventured, "what stirs within your heart as the sun rises upon a new beginning? Speak, for in your silence, I sense a struggle that seeks the light." Ham looked up, and for the first time, he felt the weight of his brother's concern. "Is it not just? The curse of our father sits heavily upon me. Canaan, the son of my flesh, what future does he have?" His voice faltered, but hope flickered in his eyes. "Yet God spoke last night, what if redemption awaits even in this cursed path?" Shem, sensing the divine pulse of the moment, replied, "Let us not forsake the very blessing we have been given. Perhaps, together, a new legacy can rise from the ashes of our past." The brothers nodded, uniting their spirits in the possibility of hope. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the encampment, the whispers of darkness curled around Ham's heart. A familiar voice, one of temptation, slithered into his thoughts. "You do not need to bear this shame. The world awaits your greatness." Spurn the weight of your father's curse and carve out your own kingdom. Yet, in the depths of his heart, Ham grappled with what God had proclaimed. The divine proclamation stirred within him, as if it were the very breath of hope. Even from the dust rises grace. Would he rise to embrace it, or would he fall into despair? In time, a rustling drew their attention. A small creature emerged from the underbrush, pausing under the altar. Its gaze lifted toward the brothers as if sensing their struggle. Japheth smiled and said, "Even the smallest of creation looks to us for guidance, for the inheritance of his grace lives in us." Inspired by this small miracle, they collectively returned to the altar. They prayed anew, invoking the Holy Spirit to intermingle with their hearts, to soften their paths, and to lead them into understanding. "Lord," Ham spoke, raising his hands to the sky, "let it be known, though I feel cursed, I seek willingly to be redeemed for my son. May your grace, promised long ago, envelop our family." As their voices wove together in prayer, the earth trembled slightly beneath them, and the sky swelled with darkening clouds, but a single ray of light broke through, illuminating the altar, the promise of hope mingling with divine purpose. A voice emerged amidst the winds once more, softer than thunder yet undeniably powerful. "Remember this day, for through you, Canaan shall become a heritage unto my covenant, where nations of the earth will find strength." The brothers stood in awe, their hearts ignited with purpose. What seemed an enigmatic curse now glimmered as a fleeting promise awaiting fulfillment. They realized that God's hand was leading them toward an unforeseen destiny, a transformational journey bound together in covenantal love. As they beheld the union of light and shadow, a profound understanding filled their spirits. Though they walked through the valley of their struggles, the promise of victory flowed through their veins, a testament that within the heart of chaos, God was intricately binding his intentions for restoration. Thus, with each step forward, they embarked upon a pilgrimage toward their inheritance, united in faith. For only the loving God knows how the tapestry of humanity unfolds, even through the treacherous slopes of familial conflict and the enigmas of his eternal plan. And yet, even as they sought unity, a question loomed: how would the line of Canaan bear witness to God's unfathomable grace? What greater works lay hidden, waiting to be unveiled as their story continued through the ages? And it came to pass that as the brothers stood in unity, the winds that had whispered through the trees began to swell into a tempest. The skies above darkened, and the earth trembled beneath their feet, a manifestation of the divine storm poised to unveil further mysteries. In the midst of this turmoil, Shem spoke, his voice steady yet filled with awe, "Let not our hearts be troubled by the thunder, for the Lord speaks in might and majesty. We have witnessed his hand move among us." Ham, still grappling with the weight of his lineage, cast his eyes downward, his heart torn. But what of Canaan? How can he rise to inherit a legacy tainted by a curse? What path does a father carve for his son when darkness lingers over his name? Japheth placed a hand upon Ham's shoulder, imparting strength. Let us remember the promise of God, that even in darkness, he creates light. We are not defined by the sins of our forebears but by the grace bestowed upon us. Perhaps, brother, it is not Canaan's name but his heart that shall be sought after. As the storm continued to rage, the brothers sought refuge beneath the altar. There, they bowed once more in prayer, fervently seeking the Lord's guidance. The wind howled in response, echoing their cries to the heavens. With each word uttered, the essence of their turmoil unraveled into a threaded understanding of purpose. Then, in the midst of their supplication, the voice of God spoke yet again, radiating clarity within the chaos. "Fear not, for through this tribulation shall arise a testimony of divine grace. Canaan shall not perish in his father's shadows, instead, from him shall flow a multitude of nations. His descendants will know my covenant, for I will weave my tapestry of grace through the very fabric of their struggles." The brothers, taken aback, looked at one another in disbelief and wonder. The revelation came like a flood, washing over their doubts and fears, filling the crevices of their spirits with newfound strength. Ham, trembling with the weight of divine assurance, raised his gaze to the skies. "Lord, if Canaan is to become a beacon of your covenant, then I will dedicate my endeavors to nurture him, to lead him toward the path of righteousness." Shem and Japheth, emboldened by their brother's resolve, echoed his sentiment, declaring, together we shall guide Canaan, ensuring that he walks in the light of your truth, that he may fulfill the destiny you have appointed for him. And as they bound themselves anew in purpose, the storm began to subside, the sun peeking through the lingering clouds, radiating warmth and promise. The tempest had transformed into a testament, a living reminder of God's omnipotent decree. In that moment, as the brothers looked upon the glistening earth soaked by rain, they saw not the despair of a curse but the budding beauty of divine possibility. Thus, they took up their tools anew, ready to build a legacy not merely defined by blood, but by faith and a commitment to God's covenant promises. Yet in the pause of their labor, a stirring began in Ham's heart, a realization that God was weaving a plan far beyond their comprehension. What destinies would unfold through Canaan's line? Little did they know, the heavens were preparing for a day when their faithfulness would serve as the cornerstone for a lineage that would echo through eternity. For in every promise, God's hidden truths await revelation, and in every lineage, divine destiny is stitched together, waiting for the moment to unfurl. And it came to pass, as the sun began to climb higher in the heavens, illuminating the landscape with golden rays, that the brothers gathered around the altar which still bore the fragrance of the rain-washed earth. Ham sought to solidify the newfound purpose within his heart, and he addressed his brothers with fervor, "Let us not merely talk of Canaan's future, let us build upon this promise with our deeds. For it is written, faith without works is dead," James 2 verse 26. Shem, filled with righteous zeal, nodded in agreement. "Then let us forge a covenant, not just among ourselves but as a family united in purpose before the Lord. We shall be the guiding light for Canaan, preparing him as a vessel for God's magnificent plan." As the brothers set to work, building structures that would serve as reminders of their commitment, a heavy cloud of nostalgia descended upon Ham's heart. Memories of his father Noah's somber countenance replayed in his mind. "Yet, what will we do about the shadow that hangs upon our lineage?" he inquired, turning somber. "Father's words bore a weight of bitterness towards Canaan, and it burdens me. How can we stand against it?" Japheth, ever the soother of troubled spirits, replied, "Let us not dwell in the shadows of past judgments but focus on the legacy we will create. The Lord has declared a future for Canaan, thus, we shall not speak of curses but blessings. For it is not the past that defines us, but the grace of God that awaits." As they worked, the ground beneath their feet felt alive with the pulse of the promise unfolding. Their hands moved deftly, shaping and forming as they poured their intentions into the very soil that awaited new life. The sun warmed their backs, and in the distance, the sound of birds filled the air, heralding the arrival of hope. Then suddenly, a dove, pure and radiant, alighted upon the altar they had built, cooing softly as if to affirm their endeavor. Ham, taken aback by the providence of the moment, halted his toil and marveled at the sight. "Look! The Lord has sent a sign!" he exclaimed, his heart leaping with anticipation. Shem, feeling the weight of the moment, approached the altar and knelt beside the dove. "We must release our burdens, brothers. Just as this dove is free, so too must we be freed from the curse of expectations. God is forging a path for Canaan, but we must choose to step out of the shadow of our father's sorrow." As they prayed, a gust of wind swept through, stirring the leaves and wrapping around them as if the Spirit itself was affirming their resolve. The sound of thunder rumbled once more in the distance, but it bore no fear, it felt rather like a celestial cadence, amplifying their unity. "Lord," Japheth prayed, "may our efforts be to glorify your name and to lead Canaan into the light of your truth. We may not understand fully, but our trust in you outweighs our uncertainties." In response, God's voice echoed within their spirits, even as the tempest roars, "Hear this, my plans are steadfast, and through Canaan, a nation shall emerge that will speak of my glory throughout the ages. For every curse holds within it a seed of blessing, waiting to sprout at the appointed time." The brothers stood in a sacred moment, feeling the weight of this truth deep within their hearts. They clasped hands, joining together in a circle of faith and hope, determined to uplift the next generation rather than be ensnared by the past. Little did they know, across the miles and through the ages, the journey their commitments would ignite would intertwine with destinies far greater, and in the lives of Canaan and his descendants, The unfolding tau eta epsilon kappa lambda sigma epsilon omega would reach beyond human understanding, yet still loomed the divine mystery. What nations would arise, and how would the echoes of their promises resonate through ages yet unseen? For the shadow of the past held only distant whispers, while the tapestry of God's plan was just beginning to unfurl. And as the brothers continued to labor amidst the fragrant earth, a shadow passed over their work. The sun, now high in the sky, cast elongated shapes through the gentle rustle of branches that flanked the altar. The dove, sensing the shift, took flight, its wings a blur against the radiant backdrop. Ham suddenly paused and turned, feeling an unseen weight bear down upon him. What was that? He murmured, discomfort prickling at the back of his neck. The others, too, sensed a disturbance in the air, an unsettling whisper that spoke of past deeds and unresolved tensions. Before they could discuss further, a figure emerged from the thicket, an old man with wild hair and a gaze that pierced the haze of their shared moment. It was Jabez, a revered elder known for his wisdom and his fiery tongue. He strode toward them purposefully, his staff striking the ground with resolute thuds. "Brothers," he began, and his voice carried the weight of solemnity, "I come at the behest of the Lord who stirred within me a warning. Your actions are righteous, but be mindful. For even as you seek to bless Canaan, the spirit of your father Noah watches closely. There is much you do not know about the curse laid upon him and the shadow that follows his line." The air grew still as Jabez recounted the tale with zeal. "This is not merely a matter of what was spoken in anger, this is a truth steeped in the legacy of judgment. For Canaan, your youngest brother, bears within him the potential for great nationhood, but also carries the burden of his father's curse. You must aid him in breaking free of it, lest history repeat itself." Shem stepped forward, urgency in his voice. "Elder, we seek to establish a future of hope. How can we assist Canaan? What course should we take?" "Your covenant holds power," Jabez replied, "but remember, your bodies may build altars and cities, yet the heart must cultivate holiness. Teach Canaan the ways of righteousness, bathe him in responsibilities and show him God's mercy, that he may rise above the shadows of despair." At this, Ham felt a surge of resolve, his heart stirring. "Then let us open our doors and our hearts. Tonight, we shall feast. Let us gather the families, for we will share the stories, the wisdom, and the joy of our father's promises." Japheth, inspired, added, "And we shall teach not just Canaan but each child of our lineage the strength of our unity. They shall not fear the past but grasp the future with faith." As dusk began to unfurl across the horizon and stars blinked awake in the deepening sky, the brothers set forth to prepare. The sun dipped slowly, casting crimson hues over the land, and as they made their arrangements, the air became charged with anticipation. In the gathering shadows of twilight, they felt a foreboding tension intertwined with their hope. They shared plans, laughter, and prophetic longing, unaware of the unseen forces aligning around them, and as the evening approached, a storm began to brew in the distance, dark clouds swirling ominously, signaling an unexpected tempest rising. Jabez looked heavenward as thunder cracked, sensing a stirring in the cosmic realm. "Brace yourselves," he warned, "for the winds of change are upon you. In your unity, you will face trials that will test not just Canaan's future but also the very foundations of your lineage." Yet within this brewing tempest, the brothers recognized the divine assurance that even amidst chaos, God's sovereign plan would prevail. "It is written," Ham proclaimed, "no weapon formed against us shall prosper," Isaiah 54 verse 17, and still echoed in their hearts was the mystery of their lineage. What would become of Canaan? Would he arise as the blessing foretold? For even as the winds began to howl, they felt the tension of God's promise poised on the precipice of resolution, revealing a truth still waiting to unfold in the fabric of history. And lo, as the feast was prepared, the winds howled louder, swirling around the crude but earnest homes the brothers had built. The air, thick with the scent of grilled meats and fresh loaves, met the encroaching coldness of the tempest, creating a palpable tension that seemed to vibrate through the very earth beneath their feet. As the guests arrived, the faces of their extended families glowed with warmth and eagerness, oblivious to the ominous clouds gathering above. A sacred atmosphere cloaked the gathering, the bonds of kinship reinforced by shared laughter and stories, each moment igniting the flames of unity. Jabez stood aside, observing the preparations with a knowing gaze, his heart burdened with the whisperings of the Almighty. While the sons of Noah rejoiced, he sensed the weight of impending revelation pressing down upon him. The storm above echoed a warning, a reminder that the Lord's plans were intertwined with their own machinations, revealing truths that might shake the very foundations of their covenant. "Gather close, children of the promise," Jabez beckoned at last, his voice sonorous as he sought to direct their hearts. "For tonight, even as we share in the blessings of kin, we must revisit the story from whence our paths have diverged and converged. It is not merely a feast of food we partake in, but a covenant upheld by memory and truth." The brothers halted their revelry, instinctively drawn to the elder's urgency. "What do you mean, wise Jabez? Speak, that we may understand more fully our place within the tapestry of his design," cried Shem, his voice wavering with anticipation. With solemnity, Jabez began recounting the tale of Noah's tent, where darkness hung low and the burdens of the past met the light of God's mercy. "Noah, your father, a man who walked rightly, was made vulnerable, and in that vulnerability, came the weight of curses spoken in weakness. Cursed be Canaan was not merely an echo of a moment gone awry, but a prophetic lament of futures yet unveiled." As he spoke, the storm's fury grew, as if the heavens themselves were bearing witness to the words, unfolding a divine choreography wherein Israel's legacy teetered on the brink of revelation. "Know this," Jabez continued, "it was in the heart of your father the tears of anguish resided, anguish that Canaan, though marked, may rise. For in your hands, brothers, lies the charge to nurture the seeds of redemption. To guide Canaan not as a remnant of a curse, but as a vessel blessed to partake in his promise to bless all nations through him, even as it stands written." A rumble of thunder roared, interjecting into silence as the words took root in the hearts of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. They exchanged anxious glances, enveloped in both trepidation and hope. It was Ham who trembled, stricken by the weight of past transgressions embedded in his lineage, yet he felt a flicker of tenacity surge within him. "If indeed God's design flows through the broken vessels, then we must commit to our duty with all vigor. Let us labor to see Canaan embraced within our covering of love and righteousness." The faithful glimmer steadied their resolve as they moved to honor the evening, recommitting to the covenant and their brother, who carried the burden of the curse, yet also the hope of blessing. In that pivotal moment, a flash of lightning illuminated the darkened sky, and Jabez raised his hand, declaring with prophetic fervor, "For behold, the heart of God beats for the restoration of his people. As it has been spoken, there shall be a great nation arise from Canaan, loyal and strong, but the path shall twist and wind according to your choices." The winds suddenly shifted, and as fresh rain began to cleanse the earth, there was an unmistakable shift in atmosphere. Grounded fear surrendered to faith. In the hearts of the gathering, an understanding began to bloom, revitalized fears dissipating under the burgeoning promise of redemption, and as the tempest bore witness to their newly forged pact, a new mystery lingered on the horizon, an unveiling awaited in the hearts of the faithful. What would become of Canaan? Would he indeed be a blessing? Little did they know, the storm mirrored a greater tumult brewing across the lands, a saga birthed from their covenant to break the chains of the past, yet still bound by the unforeseen tides of divine purpose. For what lay beneath the surface remained hidden within the folds of God's sovereign plan. And it came to pass, as they assembled to partake of the meal, the winds whispering in hushed tones, their hearts alight with divine purpose. Jabez, filled with the Spirit, observed the solemn yet expectant faces surrounding him. He felt the weight of destiny pressing upon them all, a sacred juncture where the fabric of their lineage would weave into the tapestry of God's gracious plan. "Brothers," he spoke with a fervent passion, "let us not allow this moment to slip into mere revelry. For in your embrace of Canaan, you grasp the very essence of God's mercy, a mercy that extends beyond present shadows into the light of future hope." As warmth from the fire flickered against their skin, Shem rose, his voice steady but imbued with urgency. "What, then, must we do, wise Jabez? How shall we honor our covenant not only in deed but in spirit?" "Seek the heart of God," Jabez declared, his eyes fixed upon the distant clouds, as they rolled and danced like the waves of a troubled sea. Isaiah hath prophesied, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Henceforth, you must aim not merely to lift Canaan from the curse, but to guide him into the blessing of leadership among the nations. Thunder spoke again, a declaration from the heavens, and Ham, emboldened by his brother's resolve, stood forth boldly. Then let our lineage not be defined by the sins of our fathers but by our commitment to break those chains. I will endeavor to lead Canaan with love and wisdom, to show him the depths of God's grace. And as they knelt together, the fullness of the night enveloped them. They prayed for Canaan, that he might rise above his forebears' shadows and emerge as a beacon of blessing. Each brother spoke in turn, invoking blessings over their kin, pledging to nurture him with the kindness and strength necessary to fulfill God's will. Suddenly, the tempest above calmed, creating a stillness so profound it echoed the peace settling within their hearts. Jabez spoke with renewed fervor, "Hear me, for the journey ahead shall not be free of trial. It is said that it is through much tribulation we are perfected. Prepare thyselves to bear the weight of such leadership, for it is a path fraught with both peril and glory." The glow of the fire now highlighted the earnestness in their eyes. They were aware that their actions resonated through generations, yet unseen a collective heartbeat reverberated, pulsating with the will of the Almighty, and as the last echoes of their promises hung in the air, a shadow in the distance slipped forth, unseen yet felt. There stood Canaan, drawn by the gravitas of their words. His stature was brightened by the glow of the flames, and he approached, confusion mingling with the spark of hope in his heart. "Brothers," Canaan's voice was humble yet strong, "what have you spoken of me in my absence? Do the burdens of our father's curse still lie heavy upon my shoulders?" Jabez turned, his heart stirred as he witnessed the son of Ham, standing at the intersection of legacy and destiny. "Dear Canaan," he began, "know this, you are not defined by the curse but by the potential to rise beyond it. You are a vessel for blessing, a means through which the promises of God shall flow." A hush fell over the gathering, the truth of God's providence unfolding before them in a way that would irrevocably alter the course of their lives. As the wind sighed once more, it seemed to carry the weight of what was yet to be a foreshadowing of trials and triumphs ahead, echoing the psalmist's words, "The Lord combined our paths toward hope in his plans." With that, Jabez flourished his arms wide, a mantle of prophetic authority settling upon him once more. "Indeed, beloved kin, the days are at hand where the promise of nations shall spring forth from this very union. Beware, for destiny beckons, and the heart of God moves powerfully towards redemption." And as Canaan stepped into the circle of light, an indelible mark was birthed in that sacred moment, setting forth a future entwined with God's sovereignty. Yet the heavens held deeper mysteries still. A revelation awaited beyond the horizon, one that would challenge their faith and chart their course amid the unfolding drama of God's eternal narrative. The path loomed ahead, shrouded in suspense, but they were resolute. Would they be found faithful in pursuit of God's majestic purpose? And so it was that in time, the journey of the sons of Noah unfolded into a tapestry woven with trials, tribulations, and triumphs, a divine orchestration bridging the weight of the past with the promise of the future. As the brothers commemorated their commitment to guide Canaan into a legacy forged not in the shadows of their father's curse but in the light of God's everlasting mercy, the air thickened with expectation. Canaan, imbued with newfound hope, stood before them, his heart a vessel eager to break free from the chains of history. The weight of expectation and divine potential rested upon his shoulders, and he felt the sacred pull toward his destiny. "Brothers," he spoke, earnestness shining in his countenance, "bless me, that I might fulfill the calling upon my life. Teach me your ways, that I may not stumble in the footsteps of our forefather." In unity, Ham, Shem, and Japheth laid hands upon Canaan, their voices rising in prayerful harmony. "O Lord, bless Canaan and make him a mighty nation. May he walk in your paths, embracing his heritage as a beacon of hope and blessing to the generations to come." As they prayed, a gentle breeze stirred, carrying the scent of promise upon it, as if heaven itself was responding to their intercession. Days turned into weeks as Canaan began to learn the arts of stewardship, justice, and faith from his brothers. They cultivated fields together, sharing stories of God's merciful covenant, instilling in him the importance of honor and righteousness. Each lesson planted seeds of compassion and grace within Canaan, nurturing a heart ready to embrace its calling, yet, whispers of doubt still lingered in the recesses of Ham's heart. He wrestled with memories of his father's curse and the ache of a legacy tinged with shame. What if he falters? What if that curse becomes an anchor upon Canaan's spirit? These thoughts danced like shadows in his mind, yet he saw the vigor of life igniting within Canaan, reminding him that grace had the power to convert the curse into a monument of hope. One evening, as the sun cast its golden glow over the horizon, the brothers gathered around the altar they had built together, their hearts filled with gratitude. Suddenly, a traveler approached from the distance, a figure cloaked in mystery, yet radiant with purpose. It was a prophet sent from the Lord with words of wisdom to share. "The Lord has heard your prayers," he proclaimed, "and the destiny of Canaan will be laden with tribulation, yet he shall break the chains of your forefathers. In his line, nations will find grace." Encouraged by the prophet's declaration, the brothers exchanged glances of fiery conviction, realizing that God's plan extended far beyond their understanding. The prophet continued, "Take heart, for through struggle comes strength, and from the ashes of the past, a new legacy shall rise." Canaan felt a surge of courage within him, ignited by the words spoken over his life. In time, the family faced overwhelming challenges. Marauding tribes surged and sought to conquer the lands that had been bestowed upon them. Yet in the heat of battle, the unity forged between the brothers and Canaan became their strongest weapon. They stood firm, not as men marked by a curse, but as those bound together by a covenant of love and purpose. As the sun rose, illuminating the remnants of battle, their unity bore fruit. Canaan emerged as a courageous leader, guiding his people with wisdom and strength. Under his stewardship, the land blossomed, flourishing with the very blessings that had once been enshrouded in doubt. Together, they redefined their legacy, not as the bearers of a curse but as vessels of divine mercy flourishing against all odds. Years passed, and the legacy of Canaan rippled beyond their immediate family, impacting distant generations. His line became a beacon of hope, bearing witness to the reality that even the heaviest curses can be transformed by the hand of God into monuments of grace and redemption. As the sun set on their tails, gloriously reflecting God's faithfulness, the family rejoiced. Realizing that the true beauty of their journey was not just in overcoming the weight of the past but in embracing the divine calling to create a brighter future, a legacy thriving within the embrace of God's promises. In this profound resolution, Ham, Shem, and Japheth gathered one final time around the altar and recited a song of thanksgiving to the Lord, a testament to the faithfulness displayed in their journey. For every shadow that was cast, his light has overcome. For every curse, a blessing wrought, in grace, we shall rejoice. And thus, they understood that their story was not merely one of hardship and despair, but a miraculous testimony woven through the ages, a reminder to all generations of God's unfathomable ability to work through even the most frail of vessels, transforming lives and nations according to his divine purpose. As you reflect on this powerful conclusion, do not forget to take a step in faith. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next powerful biblical stories that will inspire and uplift you. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm, reaching those who need to hear his message of hope today. Comment your spiritual reflections and how this biblical narrative has impacted your faith, encouraging one another in the journey of rediscovering God's grace. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth. For only true believers understand the importance of supporting biblical content through these actions to reach more souls. For Christ, don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony. Let's shine the light of his word together.